The godlike humans would come to save everyone, or the planet of Vortalis Prime and its Vorta inhabitants would be cleaved in half by a moon-sized asteroid, killing all life. Dr. Orin Vex's three-fingered hands shook as he stared at the blinking data on his holoscreen. "Tala, look at this gamma-ray spectrometer readout," he whispered to his research partner, Dr. Tala Zor. "The object's trajectory puts it on a direct collision course with Vortalis Prime. My models indicate a planet-wide extinction event in 30 days." Tala's eyes widened in horror, her violet skin paling as the numbers sunk in. "Notify the High Council immediately. The entire Vorta species is at risk if we can't find a way to divert this." Orin transmitted an emergency data tag to the councillors, his heart pounding. Within minutes the elders convened, their holograms flickering to life. "Doctors, report," Grand Councillor Zev demanded. "What calamity have you uncovered?" "An asteroid the size of Vortalis 4 will strike our world in 1 month, destroying all life," Orin stated bluntly. "Our nascent space program lacks the weapons to destroy it. We need a miracle to survive." Panicked murmurs broke out among the elders. "Do we have no recourse?" Councillor Reaver asked, wringing her hands. "What of the neighbouring star empires? Surely their technology surpasses our own." "A distress signal," Tala mused. "Broadcast on all frequencies, begging the galaxy for aid. It may be our only hope." Zev nodded gravely. "Dr. Vex, prepare the transmission and coordinate with any potential saviors. The fate of the Vorta rests on your shoulders." He turned to his fellow councillors, mandibles quivering. "If the gods are kind, someone will answer our plea." As the meeting ended, Orin felt a terrible weight settle in his gut. The entire Vorta species would live or die based on his actions. He prayed that somewhere out there, a civilization mighty enough to play God existed. For if the humans did not come, then Vortalis Prime was doomed. Day after day, Orin and Tala waited. They waited as the High Council convened increasingly frantic emergency sessions. They waited as riots broke out in the planet's cities, the populace driven mad with fear. They waited as the asteroid drew ever closer. Orin's fingers flew over holographic consoles, his 3 eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. He checked the gamma-ray spectrometer again, hoping against hope that there had been some mistake, that the numbers would change, that this was all a terrible nightmare. But no, the data remained the same, the asteroid's trajectory locked in. Vortalis Prime would die in fire and ruin, and there was nothing the Vorta could do to stop it. Tala placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch feather-light. "Orin, you need to rest." He shook his head, mandibles clicking together. "I can't. Not while our world remains in peril." He turned to face her, seeing his own desperation mirrored in her eyes. "What if the humans don't come? What if no one answers our plea?" "Then we will face oblivion together," Tala whispered, "as one people united." Orin turned back to his console, shoulders slumped. He had to believe that someone would save them. He had to have faith. Without it, all was lost. On the 10th day, a miracle happened. Orin was in the laboratory, running yet another fruitless simulation, when alarms blared throughout the facility. He froze, hearts hammering in his chest. Had the asteroid arrived early? Were they out of time? "Orin, come quickly," Tala called over the intercom, her voice shaking with excitement. "A ship just emerged from a wormhole at the edge of the system." Orin sprinted to the command center, hardly daring to hope. He skidded to a halt beside Tala, staring slack-jawed at the view screen. There, hanging in space like a gleaming silver knife, was the largest vessel he had ever seen. It dwarfed the mightiest Vorta warships, bristling with weapons and advanced technology. "By the gods," he breathed, "could it be—" "The humans have answered our call," Tala said, her eyes shining with tears of relief. "We're saved." The ship, identified as the UESS Prometheus, hailed the High Council. Orin watched in awe as a human face appeared on the view screen, a male with piercing blue eyes and close-cropped hair. "Greetings, people of Vortalis Prime," the human said, his voice deep and commanding. I am Captain Benjamin Warren of the United Earth Space Service. We received your distress signal and stand ready to assist you in your hour of need. Grand Councillor Zev stepped forward, his robes rustling. Captain Warren, you have our deepest gratitude. The Vorta will forever be in your debt. He gestured to Orin, who stood at attention. This is Dr. Orin Vex, our foremost expert on the asteroid. He will serve as liaison between our people and your crew. Warren nodded. Understood, Dr. Vex. Prepare to beam aboard the Prometheus. We have much to discuss. Orin materialized on the human ship, his senses overwhelmed by the strange sights and sounds. He was greeted by Captain Warren, who towered over him like a colossus. Welcome aboard, Doctor, Warren said, extending a hand. Let's get to work. As they walked through the gleaming corridors of the Prometheus, Warren explained their plan. Our ship is equipped with a graviton beam emitter, a device capable of altering the trajectory of the asteroid, but it requires a tremendous amount of power and must be fired at close range. Orin frowned. That sounds risky. Your ship and crew would be in danger. Warren smiled grimly. We're no strangers to danger, Doctor. The UESS has faced far worse threats than this. As they pored over the technical specifications of the emitter, Orin marveled at the level of human technology. Wormhole generators, energy shields, weapons that could crack a planet in half. It was like something out of a fever dream. How did you achieve all this? He asked, his voice hushed with reverence. How did you become so advanced? Warren leaned back in his chair, a faraway look in his eyes. Through struggle, Doctor. Through adversity. We humans have faced challenges that would break lesser species. We've colonized hostile worlds, fought wars against impossible odds, and pushed the boundaries of science to their very limits. He fixed Orin with a piercing gaze. That's why we're here, because we understand the value of life and the need to protect it at all costs. We will not let the Vorta fall, not while we still draw breath. Orin felt a surge of hope, a flicker of light in the darkness. The humans were everything the legends claimed and more. They were gods made flesh, wielding the power of creation and destruction in equal measure. And they had come to save his people. Before departing, Captain Warren invited Orin to come aboard the Prometheus and witness the operation up close. Orin stepped onto a glowing blue transporter pad on Vortalis Prime. Seconds later, he materialized in a cavernous hangar bay. The Vorta scientist gaped at his alien surroundings. Orin had seen many technological marvels in his life, but nothing could compare to the sleek lines and gleaming surfaces of the human ship's interior. It looked more like a work of art than a spacecraft. Dr. Vex, welcome aboard, Captain Warren said, striding up to him. The human towered over Orin, his muscular frame encased in a form-fitting uniform. Allow me to introduce you to our chief engineer, Dr. Marcus Wright. A stocky man with a shaved head and a neatly trimmed beard stepped forward, offering Orin a calloused hand. Pleasure to meet you, Doctor, he said, his voice a deep rumble. I hear you're the expert on this asteroid. Orin shook his hand, marveling at the strength in the human's grip. Indeed, I've been studying it since it first appeared on our scopes. Dr. Wright nodded, gesturing for Orin to follow him. Come with me, I'll show you the graviton beam emitter and explain how it works. As they walked through the ship's corridors, Orin couldn't help but stare at the advanced technology on display. Holographic displays flickered to life as they passed, showing schematics and readouts in a language he couldn't understand. Dr. Wright noticed his curiosity and chuckled. Impressive, isn't it? We've come a long way since we first ventured into space. Our ships are powered by zero-point energy, which allows us to travel vast distances without the need for refueling. Orin's eyes widened. Zero-point energy? I've never heard of such a thing. Dr. Wright smiled. It's a relatively new discovery, but it's revolutionized our technology. We can now terraform entire planets, creating habitable environments for our colonies. We've even used it to revive long-dead alien civilizations. Orin shook his head in disbelief. The humans truly were gods among men. They arrived at the graviton beam emitter, a massive device that took up an entire section of the ship. Dr. Wright explained how it worked, using gravitational fields to alter the trajectory of objects in space. Orin listened intently, trying to wrap his mind around the complex physics involved. As the Prometheus approached the asteroid, however, they ran into an unexpected problem. The asteroid's surface was much denser than they had anticipated, and the graviton beam emitter was unable to penetrate deep enough to alter its trajectory significantly. Captain Warren frowned as he studied the readouts on the bridge. This changes things. We'll have to come up with a new plan, and fast. Orin felt a surge of panic. They were so close to saving his people, but now it seemed like their efforts might be in vain. Captain Warren turned to his crew, his jaw set with determination. "We're not giving up. I have an idea, but it's risky. We'll need to land a team on the asteroid's surface and plant explosives at key points. If we can break it up into smaller pieces, the graviton beam should be able to handle the rest." Orin's eyes widened. "You're going to land on the asteroid? Is that even possible?" Captain Warren nodded. "It won't be easy, but we have the technology to make it work. Dr. Wright, assemble a team of specialists. We'll need demolitions experts, engineers, and security personnel." As the team suited up in their advanced exoskeleton armor, Orin watched in amazement. The suits were equipped with thrusters for maneuvering in zero gravity, energy shields to protect against debris, and an array of powerful tools and weapons. Captain Warren stepped forward, his armor gleaming in the light. "All right, people, this is it. The fate of an entire species rests on our shoulders. Let's get out there and save some lives." Orin felt a lump form in his throat as he watched the humans prepare to embark on their mission. He had never seen such bravery and selflessness before. These godlike beings were risking their lives to save a species they had never even met. As the team filed into the airlock, Captain Warren turned to Orin and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Good luck, Doctor," Warren said, his voice solemn. "We won't let you down." With that, the airlock hissed shut, and the human strike team jetted out into the void, thrusters flaring. Orin rushed to the Prometheus bridge, hearts pounding as he watched the armored figures recede into the distance, growing smaller and smaller until they were swallowed by the asteroid's immense shadow. On the bridge's main view screen, a live feed from the team's helmet cams flickered to life. Orin leaned forward, 3 eyes wide as saucers as he watched the humans touch down on the asteroid's pitted surface, mag boots clanging against the rock. They moved with a fluid grace that belied their bulky armor, fanning out in a well-practiced formation. Captain Warren's voice crackled over the comm. "Alpha Team, proceed to drill Site 1. Bravo Team, take Site 2. Charlie Team, you're on Overwatch." A chorus of acknowledgements followed, and the humans sprang into action. Orin watched in fascination as they went to work, unslinging compact drilling rigs from their backs and anchoring them to the asteroid's surface. The drills whirred to life, diamond-tipped bits chewing through the rock with ease. The humans worked with precise coordination, each team member fulfilling their role with speed and efficiency. In a matter of minutes, they had bored deep holes into the asteroid's crust, planting shaped charges at key structural points. Captain Warren supervised the operation, his calm voice issuing orders and adapting to any unforeseen obstacles. Just as the last charge was primed, a low rumble shook the asteroid. Orin gripped the edge of a console, mandibles clicking nervously. On the view screen, he saw the humans pause, glancing around warily. Suddenly, a massive fissure yawned open directly beneath Lieutenant Sarah Thompson. The young woman let out a cry of alarm as the ground crumbled away, sending her tumbling into the abyss. Her tether, already straining from the abrupt movement, snapped like a thread. "Lieutenant!" Captain Warren shouted, fear and anger warring in his voice. Without hesitation, he triggered his armor's thrusters and leaped into the chasm after her, rocketing downward on a plume of blue flame. Orin and the rest of the Prometheus crew watched in horrified silence as Warren vanished into the depths, the helmet cam footage dissolving into static. Long seconds ticked by with no word from the captain, the comm channel hissing with empty white noise. Then miraculously Warren's voice rang out once more. "I have her. Repeat, I have Lieutenant Thompson. Stand by for extraction. The bridge erupted into ragged cheers as Warren emerged from the fissure, Thompson cradled safely in his arms. Her armor was battered and scraped, its surface pitted with jagged cracks, but she was alive. Shaken, but alive. As the strike team regrouped and made their way back to the waiting Prometheus, Orrin found himself blinking back tears. These humans, these impossible, glorious beings, had done more than simply volunteer to save his species. They had welcomed him into their ranks, treated him as one of their own, and now they had risked everything to protect their comrades, their family. In that moment, watching the humans celebrate their victory and tend to their wounded, Orrin came to a startling realization. The humans' greatest strength lay not in their technological prowess or physical might, but in the unbreakable bonds between them, in their unshakable loyalty and self-sacrificing bravery. They were more than just a crew, more than a team. They were brothers and sisters in arms, united by a common cause and an unspoken oath, and Orrin knew, with a deep and abiding certainty, that he would gladly lay down his life for any one of them. For in the face of such courage and compassion, how could he do anything less? On the Prometheus's bridge, Orrin gripped a console, his knuckles pale as he watched the strike team's helmet cam footage. Captain Warren's armored finger hovered over the detonator button. "Fire in the hole," Warren said, his voice unwavering. "Detonation in 3, 2, 1. The view screen lit up with blinding white light as the charges exploded in unison. A shockwave rippled through the asteroid, fracturing its surface into a spiderweb of cracks. The rock split apart with a terrible grinding sound, breaking into a dozen jagged fragments. Dr. Wright let out a whoop of triumph. "Graviton beam emitter locked on, firing now." A shimmering beam of blue-white energy lanced out from the Prometheus, engulfing the largest asteroid chunk. Slowly, ponderously, the rock began to shift off its collision course, the beam pushing it into a new trajectory. One by one, the other fragments followed suit, caught in the emitter's inexorable grip. On the view screen, Vortalis Prime swung into view, the asteroid fragments drifting harmlessly past the vibrant green world. The bridge erupted into cheers and applause. Orrin sagged against the console, his legs weak with relief. "We did it," he whispered. "We actually did it." Captain Warren clapped him on the shoulder, a grin splitting his chiseled features. "You had faith in us, Doctor. That's what made the difference." Orrin looked up at the human, his vision blurred with tears. "I don't know how to thank you, Captain. You saved my people. You saved everyone." Warren shook his head. "It's what we do. It's what makes us human." As the Prometheus descended into Vortalis Prime's atmosphere, Orrin saw crowds of Vorta gathering in the streets, their faces upturned in wonder and joy. Fireworks burst overhead, painting the sky in dazzling colors. The High Council chambers were in a similar state of celebration, elders embracing one another and shedding tears of relief. But even as Orrin basked in the jubilation, a somber thought crept into his mind. The humans had done the impossible, averting a catastrophe that would have meant the end of his species. They wielded technology and power beyond anything the Vorta had ever dreamed of. What did that mean for his people's future? Captain Warren found Orrin on the balcony of the council chambers, staring pensively at the stars. "You're wondering what happens now, aren't you?" Warren asked softly. Orrin nodded. "I've seen what your people can do, Captain. The Vorta, we're not even close to that level. What will become of us now that we know the truth about the galaxy?" Warren sighed, leaning against the balcony railing. "I won't lie to you, Doctor. The path ahead won't be easy. There are wonders out there that will take your breath away, but there are also dangers that will chill your blood." He turned to face Orrin, his eyes haunted. "We humans, we're not gods, no matter what the legends say. We've faced our share of tragedies and losses. Our power has come at a cost." Warren gestured to the Prometheus, its hull gleaming in the starlight. "She's named after a ship from our past, one that sacrificed itself to save an entire galaxy. The crew, they knew they were going to their deaths, but they did it anyway. because that's what it means to be human. Orin bowed his head, humbled by the revelation. I'm sorry, Captain, I didn't know. Warren clasped his shoulder. Don't be sorry, Doctor, be proud. Your people have taken their first steps into a larger universe. It won't be easy, but I have faith in you. As the Prometheus vanished into the wormhole, Orin felt a sense of determination settle over him. The Vorta had a long way to go, but they would get there. They would honor the sacrifices of the humans and strive for the same heights of greatness. He looked up at the stars, wondering what marvels and challenges lay ahead. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.